Hey gang, thought I'd do a quick video on how to change the oil on a Kobe because it is a little odd. So first thing, warm it up just like any other bike. Next thing, take off your molecule skid plate because like most bikes, it's kind of covered in the oil drain, all right? All right gang, for today's oil change on the Kobe, I'll tell you what you need here. You need some oil. They want the SN version, 1040 SN, so I found this Kawasaki stuff would work well. Check the back to make sure it's the correct one for your bike. Some gloves. Go see my affiliate Digits. They're great. Then the tools we need, any specialty tools. Reverse pliers work great for the plastic filters that are in there. The magnetic thing works well for the paper filters that we will need to replace, so we need a new paper filter. Regular socket wrench. A wobble extension works the best for trying to get around the exhaust there. A torque wrench that goes to 12 and 25 Newton meters. An open end wrench or box wrench, 14. Then for sockets you need an 8, a 10, a 13, a 17, and you need a couple Allen wrenches, a 4 and a 6, some brake clean or maybe some WD-40 to clean out those filters, and then of course plenty of paper towels. Oh, and some place to recycle your oil. All right, here we go. Plate. It's either some Allen wrenches or 8mm socket. All right, so those are the first set of tools you need. Drain, but you can't get to the filters unless you take off the exhaust. That's right, you gotta take off the exhaust. Luckily it's only like 4 bolts, so let's get to it. There it is, the 13 loosens the binders for the actual exhaust. So get those undone. Then it's time to get on to the 10, which holds the exhaust onto the bike. I forgot you also have to have a 14 wrench to get on the back side of a nut that's on the back exhaust. I'm glad I made this hole big enough to get this bolt out. Then the exhaust slips right off. Get the next one that holds it on. And the cat's still a little warm from warming this pup up. But now we can access everything. Let's check it out. For the manual, they want you to undo this plastic filter on both sides first. Then they want you to take out the paper filter, and then they want you to take out the main drain. I'm going to gain access to the paper filter, and there's a filter on each side right here that's kind of like a KTM plastic filter. Both sides of the engine have a filter on it. Okay gang, for this next section you'll need a 17 for the big bolts and then an 8 again for the little paper filter one. And if you have a wobble head for the socket, it'll definitely help you get around this exhaust. Either that or use a wrench. Hey, for this next section, they say to use needle nose. But if you got some fancy reverse pliers, they work really well. Okay, let's see if the magnet works on the paper filter. Oh yeah.
So use a magnet on the paper one.
Okay, we got all the filters out of it, so now it's time to hit the drain plug. Okay gang, this is what we got for parts. The 2 screens, the 2 bolts that go with that, the drain plug comes out of the bottom, the paper filter cover, spring, and 2 bolts that come out of that. Make sure you get all these O-rings cleaned up and make sure they're all in good working order and not cut or anything, all right? This little brake cleaner or WD-40 works great. Now you just need to blow them out with like an air hose. Or if you don't have any, let's go for the bike hack.
Put it on the light pump and see if it does anything. Lock it at both ends.
Should have removed the oil injection cap. I think they just mean where you fill your oil at. All right. I want you to remove this lower one until the engine oil is a droplet. I think that just means it stops dropping really fast. They say they want you to use a 1040 SN, like Sam Nora. 500 milliliters. And I want to kind of keep track of how much I'm actually putting in, because it takes like a certain amount. It says 1.6 to 1.8. However, I put a larger side case on it, so I think it should hold more. And mine has a sight glass. Okay, first things first, here's a new paper filter. I'm not gonna put this in dry because I don't want the engine to start without any oil pressure at all. So to try to minimize that as much as possible, drop this in some oil and get it all soaked, all right? This side case cover, I got this from USA Motor Toys. This one is a GPX and it has a sight glass on it. Compared to the other one, it's a little bit larger. I did have to pull out the brake pedal a little bit, but more oil, more better as far as I'm concerned, and especially if I can tell how much is in the dang thing. I want to know how much is in there for real. The first thing it wants us to do is make sure our spring and everything's in here, and then put in the fine filter, which is the paper filter. And then torque it to 11 to 13. Sounds like 12. All right. Newton meters. Okay, just like with KTM, these little O-rings can get damaged really easily if you don't put them in there correctly, and then they've got to go inside of the cap of this too. Probably can't even see this. Make sure it's rattled into space and then it's pressed into the O-ring and centered. And then try to get that bolt on there so it'll center. If you guys can see this or not. It is definitely a little bit of a pain. Get everything all straight and in there. To the 12 Newton meters again. Just not very much, but they all have O-rings on them. Now we'll do the other side. Get that guy in there. Finger tight. Push it in. There he goes. It's over the oil seal now. I'll get this guy in here. Centered. Back thread couple. Sure it's centered. Oh, that doesn't seem like much. All right, let's see. We got all the bolts in now, so hopefully it won't leak out when we do this, but we'll start filling it up here. Start with 500, half a liter.
Oh, that's beautiful. Do the high pour.
I'm gonna actually measure it and write on the side with a Sharpie how much it takes, because I don't trust myself to remember how much goes in here. An extra 100, so we'll be at 1.6. So it should be full if it was the other side case. My gloves? Oh yeah, thank you for asking. They're actually Digits Workwear. If you want to use my code, all caps Crashimoto equals 10, you can get an extra 10% off on your order. They make all kinds of great gloves, all right? I don't trust this thing or any other engine to fire empty with nothing in the oil pump. So I don't want to damage the engine, or I want to damage it as least as possible. So I'm going to crank it over a couple times with no firing going on. Okay, basically it wants to fire right away. So I got to fool it into not firing. The way I'm going to do that is put it in gear, but leave the kickstand down. Then the kickstand one will not let it go. And then we'll tighten up the binders. Sure there's no interference. Anything. Some bolts kind of close. Make sure it's in neutral this time. And we'll get the thing fired up and get it going. Check for any leaks. All looks good. Yay! I'm gonna try to get this trip maintenance taken off of here. So let's see. We go to set. Go up from the bottom, settings. Maintenance, there it is. Hit maintenance. The next one is in how many kilometers? Reset maintenance. Yes. Well, at least the little wrench is off. Although I can't figure out how to change the amount of distance, because I need to change it to 2,000 kilometers now instead of 500 kilometers anymore. So I'll see if I can figure that out for you guys. Try to document your service in the back of your book or whatever. There's usually a blank page back there, so you can just, whatever service is done, put it down there, and then maybe people will think that you actually took care of the motorcycle when you go to sell it later. All right, thanks. Hope you guys had fun today on Moto, because we did. What's Rocky say? Like and subscribe and go to Giant Loop. Yeah!